Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday. What is it? July the 27th, 2025. Almost another month down. Can you believe we're almost into August? They always say that as you get older, the months and years go quicker. Wow, geez. This year, just crazy. Just seems like yesterday we were getting embarrassed by Richmond at the MCG. This is Carlton I'm talking about. And here we are in round 19 or 20, getting embarrassed by Hawthorn. Geez, not much changes, does it? Anyway, not talking footy. Not talking footy. Come on, buddy. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right, what happened on this day in boxing history? Let's have a quick look. I haven't come overly organised today. Here we go. 1967, Gabriel Alorde knocked out Japan's Tiru Kasaka in the 12th round in Tokyo, Japan for the world 130-pound title. Yes, 130. In 1990, Italy's Massimiliano Duran defeated Puerto Rico's Carlos de Leon by disqualification in Italy. That was for the world cruiserweight title. In 1991, the late great Pernell Whitaker defended his world lightweight title by defeating Spain's Policarpo Diaz in his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia. Where are we? 1992, Mexico's Victor Rabanales defended his world bantamweight title with a decision over Cheng Qian O. That was in Inglewood, California. And in 2019, in Arlington, Texas, been there a couple of times, Jose Carlos Ramirez knocked out Maurice Hooker in the 6th round to defend the world 140-pound title and also added the WBO belt to his collection. All right, well, all right, so today we've got Xander Zayos and Jorge Diaz, is that his name? Fighting for the WBO 154-pound title. And it sort of got me thinking, especially after the events of last week as well, where is the 154-pound division at the moment? It's probably is it arguably the hottest division in boxing? I think it probably would be. Lots happening there. And now with the addition of Boots Ennis and maybe even Conor Benn, really adds some spice to the division. And especially, as I said, after last week's events in Las Vegas and what's happening today, who are, I suppose, the major players at 154, and I suppose where do they all rank? One thing I would probably say off the bat is that Tim Tszyu is not part of the top 10. I don't think we could really seriously say that he's, based on his last not the Joey Spencer fight, but the other three, the two Fundora fights and the Murtazalia fight, that he's really in the top 10 154-pounders. Now, you might disagree. I've just sort of gone through, I suppose, the major players. Now, the one actually to add in there is Keith Thurman. I've put him in there in the mix as well. So, as I said, if you add Ennis, Benn and Thurman, probably take out Crawford. I don't think we'll see him back at 154 again, so I've actually taken him out. He would obviously be the number one if we were ranking him as they stand right at the moment. He still is the WBA champion, I think. I don't think he's officially given that title up, but I had a bit of a look and seen where we are at in the 154-pound division. Now, again, I've taken Crawford out and added, not to say they've actually made the top 10, but I've added Ennis, Benn and Thurman into it. Now, Thurman's probably arguable because he's only had that one fight in however long against Brock Jarvis of all people. So, but I think if you look at it, look, there's lots of things that go in. I'm not really going to go on activity. I'm really just going to go on who are the best 154-pounders currently in it, that are currently fighting at 154. Ennis hasn't fought at 154, but I'm going to put him, as I said, put him in the mix because he's now set on at 154. He's given up his welterweight titles. He's a 154-pound fighter, so I'm going to rank him as such. All right, so I would think the number one would be probably Virgil Ortiz, with Crawford out of the mix. Virgil Ortiz for me. And it's strange because he doesn't actually have a belt. He's a WBC interim champion, but I would probably say, look, this is pretty close, by the way. Some really good fighters at 154. But if I had to boil it down, I would say that Virgil Ortiz for me is number one. I would think Sebastian Fundora would be number 2. Now, this even surprised me looking at all the fighters because I know there's a couple that could probably make the argument of going ahead of him, but from what I saw from last year when he beat Tim the first time to what I saw last weekend, I saw a very, very or vastly improved fighter. And you might say, oh, well, there'll be some people saying, well, Tim was never up to it. Well, is it only it looked that way because of Fundora's efforts? So I just thought last week he showed the traits of what a real champion is. He took the fight to Tim. I think he really looked like he improved his defence, even though he did get nailed with a few shots, and it could be maybe in a bit of an Achilles heel going forward. He can be caught, but I just thought his poise, obviously his power, he put Tim down in the first round and actually rocked him with some good shots, but he's not really that big type of puncher. He's more of that sort of tap, 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 bang, tap, 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 bang type of fighter. And he's not, as I said, he's not a big puncher, not a killer that way, but he can punch if timed right. As I said, I was really impressed with him last week. I thought he tidied up his technique. He looked well balanced. He didn't, more importantly, even though it probably looked like he was trading with Tim, he wasn't. He was trading, but he was doing it from a safe distance. Normally, in a lot of his fights, and what obviously got him caught against Mendoza, he likes to trade at the range of his opponents, which obviously brings him in and makes him susceptible to the left hook that rocked him against Mendoza and the right hand that knocked him out. And even against Tim, it was hit numerous times. But what I liked was he traded, but from his distance. So as you saw last week with Tim, he's sort of just punching at air and hoping a big punch will land, and Fundora's letting him go from a safe distance for him. So I think if he continues that, I think he's going to be hard to beat. He's going to be hard to beat. And Ortiz, on the other hand, as I said, the reason he's number 1 is because he just does everything really well. I think he can fight, he can box. He's got his limitations as well, but I just think putting him up against all the others, he would be number 1. Number 3, I would have Murtazalov. This is even with Ennis in the division, by the way, because Ennis has obviously still got to prove himself. He might be at 154, but we haven't actually seen him fight. But I think Murtazalov is still that killer. The only thing is, I know there'll be probably some of you out there that say, well, he should be ahead of Fundora. I don't know. Yes, the Tim fight was an unbelievable performance from Murtazalov, and he really put Tim to the sword. But I really want to see him back it up. I just think on that day or that night over there, I've gone over it ad nauseum with the Tim fight. I just think he had just one out of the box where just Tim did everything wrong in the fight and Murtazalov took advantage of it. Now, that's obviously the sign of a very good fighter, but I want to see him back it up. I want to see him fight Lubin, and I think he should beat Lubin, but Lubin will give him some problems, some issues. Lubin's not just going to go out there like Tim did and, sort of be an easy, not easy, but a target, a very, very hittable target. He's pretty cagey, Lubin. He's had a fair bit of experience. I know he's been knocked out before, but I think he'll give Murtazalov just some issues. Not to the point where I think he's a chance to beat Murtazalov, but I think he'll just make him think, and that's where I think we'll see a little bit more of what Murtazalov is made of. I'm glad he's fighting Lubin instead of Josh Kelly, by the way. I think it's more of a test for him. But yeah, as I said, I just want to see him back it up, and that's why I've got him at number 3. Number 4 is probably pretty easy. Boots Ennis probably could have been a little bit higher, but again, we haven't seen him at the weight. I've got no doubt this guy will probably end up the number 1 in the division. I can see that super fight with Virgil Ortiz happening down the track. That will be the fight, or maybe it's Fundora. Who knows? Maybe Ennis could fight Fundora first, but I see the big super fight at the end being against Ortiz. So I've got him at number 4 at the moment. Again, as I said, you could probably have him a spot or 2 higher, but just at this stage, I'm going to slot him in at number 4 before his debut in the division. Number 5. Now, I've got Xander Zayas. Now, again, this might be arguable, and look, a lot is pending on today's result. I might put him at number 5 and he gets beaten today, but I just think he's a real talent. Yes, he's unproven. Yes, he's got a long way to go, but I think he's super talented, and I think potentially he could be a really, really good fighter. I really like I don't know much about his opponent today, by the way, just a few highlights here and there. I don't think I've actually watched him in a proper fight, but at the full length of the fight. But from what I've seen, I just think Xander Zayas has got the ability to beat him today. And then when he has that belt, that's when all the big doors open up. So again, arguable, but I just think he's a really talented fighter, and at number 5 for me. Number 6, I've got Israel Madrimov. Gained a lot of credits against Terence Crawford, but in my opinion, oh, come here, buddy. I just think against Ortiz, he won't say he let himself down, but it wasn't a great performance. There was a few people that thought it was a lot closer than maybe what it was. I just thought he's a limited type of guy, and this is the thing with a lot of the Russians, or from those Russian countries, is that against the right opponent, they will look sensational, and against other opponents, they can look pretty ordinary. An example, I suppose, is someone probably like a Murtazalov against someone like Tim, who's going to come straight at him and make life easy for him. He's going to look great, but how's he going to look against someone slick like an Ennis or someone like that? So, or even a Fundora with the size. So the jury's still out for me as far as Madrimov, how he goes in the division. Again, he got a lot of credit for the Crawford fight, but he needs to get another win. Number 7, I've got Sergey Boychuk. I think he's solid. He's been solid. He's lost a couple of fights, but arguable was the Ortiz fight, and has looked really good in other fights as well. Stop there, buddy. Stop there. He wants to cross the road here. It has no road sense whatsoever. Just thought he'll go while there's a bloody Land Rover coming at him. Anyway, so I've got Boychuk at number 8. Now I've got Keith Thurman at number 9. This was a tough one. I wasn't quite sure whether to put him in or not. I just think, I know he's only had the one fight in a long time, but I just think if you line him up against the others, I just think he's the 9th best in it at the moment. On his day, he can still fight. So I've got Keith Thurman at number 9. And to round it out, I've got Jesus Ramos Jr. I've put him ahead of Conor Benn. Conor Benn for me, I don't understand all the cred that he got in losing a fight to Chris Eubank. And Chris Eubank's, for me, not exactly a top liner. So while the fight with Eubank was a good fight, and it was a spiteful fight, and he did well to hang in there for 12 rounds against a lot bigger guy, I thought that was great. But as far as he's standing, I don't think it's changed. I still think he showed that he's a limited banger with not really much else to give. So I'm not quite sure where all these extra plaudits are coming from. But I mean, he'll give anyone a really tough fight, but I think, again, he's got a long way to go. So I would think if they fought, I suppose what you got to put it down to, I would back Jesus Ramos Jr. to beat Conor Benn. So there's my 10 anyway. Virgil Ortiz, Sebastian Fundora, Bakram Murtazalov, Jaron Boots Ennis, Xander Zayos, Israel Madrimov, Sergey Boychuk, Keith Thurman, and Jesus Ramos Jr. So again, would you still have Tim in there? I still think Tim's probably that 12 to 13 at mark at the moment. And look, obviously it has been a fall, because he probably would have been top 3 or 4 18 months ago, but that's boxing. And you can fall as quick as you can rise. So give me your thoughts on that. Now, just speaking of the rest of the divisions out there, I mean, it's what as I said before, we're into almost August. What's next for some of the major players out there, the main guys in the division? I suppose if you quickly go through them, heavyweights, Alexander Usyk, well, it's probably going to be Joseph Parker or Tyson Fury. If I was a betting man, I would think that Alexander Usyk's probably going to relinquish his WBO belt and fight Tyson Fury. Just a gut feel. Again, I know that Joseph Parker deserves the fight, but deserving it means nothing in the business of boxing, does it? So that's what I think would be next for him at cruiserweight. Well, what next? Well, Zerto's out, isn't he? Badu Jack, who knows what he's going to do? The main man, Jai Pataya, I don't know. Really no one for him. I mean, I suppose there's a Chris Bellum-Smith or a Masternak or one of these types of guys, but is that really going to get him excited? I don't know. I've got a feeling, who knows, he might just make the move to heavyweight. Don't know, we will see. But that's probably, there's not much going on for Jai at the moment, unfortunately. I'd still like to see Benavides move up and fight him, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Light heavyweights, Bivol and Better B will get it on at the end of the year. Not sure whether, you got David Benavides, of course, he'll make his mind. I think he'll just have mandatory, or even, well, who's next? Albert Ramirez is probably the next one in line. So I don't know. And then you've got the WBA, was it the IBF, was it? That will probably be given up, and maybe our man Conor Wallace will fight Michael Eifert. I don't know. But then you've got super middleweight, of course, Canelo and Crawford coming up. Probably Eubank after that. Middleweight, I wouldn't mind seeing, well, we've seen nothing from Janabek, Alan Canuli and Lara. Has Lara fought since he beat Michael Zarafa? I'm not sure he has. I'll have to check that out, but I would like to see Janabek and Lara in a unification, or even Janabek, or either one of those against Adames. Let's see some unification fights, because outside the three champions, there's nothing in that division. So that's what I'd like to see. 154 we've just discussed. What's next for them all, I suppose? Well, Barkram's got Lubin. Fundora, Crawford's going up. The WBO gets decided today, and Fundora, well, geez, who's he going to fight next? Plenty of options for him out there. Welterweight, we've got Haney and Norman, but it's maybe like to see Barrios and Pacquiao again. Ennis has moved up, so not a lot happening there. Lightweight, well, geez, super lightweight. Matthias, Cruz, Russell, Hitchens. There's some good fighters. Throw Liam Paro in the mix. I would think Hitchens might fight the rematch with Liam Paro. Just a gut feel. Not sure what's happening with Russell. I would love to see Matthias and Cruz, Pitbull, or even Matthias and Teofimo Lopez. Some great fights to be made there. But either way, nothing concrete between them at the moment. Lightweight, Shakur Stevenson's mentioned he'd like to fight Andy Cruz. That is the fighter at lightweight. Tank Davis, I don't know where the hell he's at the moment. No fight planned. The Roach fight was sort of looking to be locked in, but it looks like that's not at the moment. He's got some issues outside the ring. But you got Muratalia. Yeah, I'm not so much interested in him. But yeah, Davis. But Stevenson and Cruz, I think all of a sudden for me becomes the fight. I know Cruz will probably fight Muratalia first. He's the number one challenger. But it won't be the most exciting fight, by the way. But for the real boxing purists, Shakur Stevenson and Andy Cruz will be a great fight, but nothing sort of locked in with those at the moment. 130, Eduardo Nunes, nothing for him. Lamont Roach, well, where's he go from now? Oshaki Foster, wouldn't mind seeing him fight Emmanuel Navarrete, but none of those fighters, as far as I know, got much locked in. Hopefully our man Liam Wilson will get a crack there. Featherweight, you got Nick Ball against Sam Goodman. Nothing for the other guys. Stephen Fulton. I wouldn't mind seeing the winner of Goodman and Ball fight Stephen Fulton. Maybe Espinoza, but it's not a bad couple of fights there. 122, well, it's all about one man. That's no win away. We all know what he's doing over the next sort of year and a half. A lot of fighters in the mix with Picasso and Nakatani, and who else was there? Oh, MJ's fighting next as well. So, yeah, he's a bit going on with him. At 118, well, it's just the Japanese fighters, isn't it? Junto Nakatani and Yoshiki Takai. You've got... well, Donaire's the interim champion. Not so much going on with Antonio Vargas, and then you go down to, we'll just go down to 115 with Bam Rodriguez. Well, I want to see him move up. That's what I want from Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I want him to move up and fight the likes of Nakatani, and in a way, that's what I want. And I think he's capable of really taking it to them guys. I think they'll fight in the interim, I suppose. In the meantime, it's Bam and Nakatani. That's got to be the fight. That would just be an absolute ripper. What a fight that would be. It would be awesome. All right, now, what else is going on? Now, I'm going to do a little... well, first of all, the top-ranked deal ends today with ESPN, by the way, so lots of rumours who they're going with. DAZN, Netflix, all being thrown in the mix. I've got a feeling it could still be DAZN. Why wouldn't it be? But apparently they're going to go over 2 or 3 networks. So apparently that's going to... or two networks or something and a couple of streaming devices. I don't know, but they're going to be over multiple platforms. So I'm sure apparently it's all going to be revealed after today's fights with Zayas and... is it Diaz, isn't it? So, and I'm going to do a little bit more research on this one, but the TKO Foundation or organisation with Dana White... now, I think we're all familiar with the Ali Act. Come here, buddy. We're not crossing the road. We're not crossing the road. We'll go this way. That you cannot be a manager and promoter at the same time in the States. That's the Ali Act. Well, apparently it's going to be stripped down and rejigged to suit the TKO model. Now, I don't know how all this works, but again, I'll do some more research. I don't really want to comment on it now because I'm not 100%. I have read numerous articles, but if I'm being honest, I'm struggling to sort of get my head around exactly how they'll rip it apart and how it'll be once it's finished. But pretty much what the TKO are doing, well, it's not going to be called TKO, but be called something else, the Dana White-led organisation. Yeah, it's going to be really pulled apart so it'll suit them, so they can have their own organisation. The scary thing with it will be is apparently it'll be one organisation and everyone that's part of it, it'll be completely 100% in-house. So this probably is a little bit contrary to what he said in the past, Dana White and Turkey, that their champions will be able to fight the champions that aren't with their organisation, so the ones with the traditional sanctioning bodies. But from what I read, again, I might be wrong, I'll do some more research on it, but to me it reads that their fighters, it will be 100% in-house and they will not be fighting fighters that hold belts from other organisations. So say if, I don't know, I'm just picking the 154-pound division, Virgil Ortiz signs with TKO and becomes their champion, he won't be able to fight, say, Sebastian Fundora if he's not part of it. That's the way I read it anyway. Again, I might be wrong. Lots still to play out, I think. And I think they might tweak a few things as they go to suit probably the backlash from fans and organisations and whether there's legal challenges and all this sort of stuff. But that's sort of what it looks like they're trying to do at the moment. And I don't think that's good for boxing if that's the way it reads, or the way it reads is correct. Not good for boxing where we're isolating fighters against other fighters. I mean, in the past with the sanctioning bodies, yep, there's always been issues. We're trying to get the WBC champion to fight the WBA champion, all these sorts of stuff, and coming to terms. But at least the fights had a possibility of being made. In this instance here, there's no possibility of, say, Virgil Ortiz fighting a Fundora or a Tank Davis fighting an Andy Cruz, because one's with TKO and one's not. That's really could spell the end of boxing as we know it. Well, it would, wouldn't it? So let's hope that's not right. But I will look a little bit more into it, just probably more see how it plays out. But anyway, all right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have a great Sunday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.